It's Coleslaw Cup, baby. Hey, that's how you make an entrance. Just make sure I'm actually broadcasting audio. Yeah, okay, sweet. Cool, I wouldn't have to want to do that all over again. Lose the magic of the moment. Here we are, Coleslaw Cup. The round is whatever it says on your screen. But it definitely is France. Who will advance in France? See what I did there? Tell you who probably won't. It's Dace. Actually, good track list for Dace. I mean, I don't know if he's got any pace here, but the walls are very far away, which is good for Dace. Our resident arsonist Knuckles is on a hot lap, not as hot as the building he set on fire a few hours prior to this race. Of course, in that scarlet red Ferrari as well. His favourite colour, red, with a little bit of orange in there as well, and a little bit wobbly. Down the Mistral Straight. Here he goes, approaching the chicane. Let's throw the track map on. Awesome. Electric Blade currently top of the timesheets, though only a few people have got their laps in thus far. 19 drivers on the grid as well to start this race. Great turnout. Which is what we love to see, especially on this game where it can be difficult to get people on because it's not the greatest. Though we have cause, hopefully, for optimism. I hope that isn't false optimism, as well, false hope, I suppose. No Jug setting a 130.2. The latest iteration of the F1 game revealed this week. Hopefully, it will be a vast improvement upon its predecessor. A few of the guys started trying out F1 2020 as well recently, which is quite possibly the best F1 game ever made. It's absolutely fantastic. Knuckles went P6 with that lap. I wasn't really paying attention, but there goes Shelley, catching my attention with a P5 lap. A 132.977, just sneaking into the 132s along with Ginit to win it, or Matt Legin. It's a rather fitting name for this racetrack. Dusty up in P3 where he wants to be. Where is Dace? What's Dace doing? Let's go have a look. He's probably going to cross the line. He does cross the line. Mustn't have been on a hot lap. Didn't even set a time, which is strange. He must have invalidated perhaps and I didn't notice. I'm not too sure, but I imagine he'd be on a hot lap now, though he doesn't really have the ERS to do a hot lap, so I don't think he will be on a hot lap this time around actually. 2.7 laps of fuel though in that Mercedes, so he does have time to go around again. Someone who does seem to be pushing though is Cali Rob. Though he has 8.7 laps of fuel aboard his car, so probably not looking at representative lap times just yet. So he goes P7 with a 131.532. 15th for Beamer Blunt. Looks like Bacon is about to start a hot lap as well. I do hate that it traps you on board with that incredibly loud audio. I don't want that camera angle. If I wanted that camera angle, I'm sure I'd settle for this incredibly similar camera angle on the opposite side of the air intake. Talking about intakes, this pit lane exit takes you in to the racing line just before the corner. Something to be wary of, especially in the race where drivers are going to be exiting the pits immediately onto the racing line whilst racing other cars, potentially on exit. So something that has the potential to cause quite a few issues at this track. Bacon with a purple Sector 1 and our first banana peel moment of this race. Well, of this qualifying session even. He has what seems to be an AlphaTauri behind him. He's getting a lovely little tow. Good job he was only getting a little tow. If he was getting a big tow, I'd suspect something was afoot. Okay, I want to... That one was too bad. I need to disrespect myself with some form of audio bit. There you go. Yeah, that was really bad. Anyway, No Jug on an outlap, looking to further solidify his provisional pole position. Scornsey in the pits. He's the second fastest driver thus far this session. His teammate Lanzi looks to improve upon his position, currently on his outlap. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, I thought he'd saved himself. But he didn't. He spun so hard that he paused my game. Unbelievable there from Electric Blade. Here comes Lusky, the man currently in P2 in the Drivers' Championship, who, yeah, I think he seems to get my vote for Driver of the Day at pretty much every race. He's been really sort of performing at a very high level so far, and he's had good pace. But the most important thing has been that he's been pretty much incident-free. He's kept himself clean. He's managed to not accrue too many penalties, and so even though perhaps in pace he's not level with the likes of Dace, he is just so mistake free that he can capitalise on other people, and up to a 1 minute 30.8 there for Dusty to put himself in P5 as Lanzi crosses the line behind him in P4, just under a tenth faster. DC Manaman testing the track limits there on his outlap. He knows exactly where he wants to be putting the car when the chips are down. And through that same right-hander now comes NLR No Hose. What is that? How is that track limit? Okay, I guess he still had the left tyre on the white line. Fair enough. Through the last corner he goes. You're going to nail your exit here because it's not a short one up to the line. DRS open as well. Keep the car in a straight line, foot to the floor. Improves. 129.978 into the 129s is NLR No Jug. Will Scornsey be the man to knock him off his pedestal up there in P1? Because it won't be Dace, at least not quite yet. It won't be, because he is actually over 6/10 off of No Jug, who is just in his own league right now. Well, he's not, he's still in this league, but he's just at the top of it on his own. Sorry about that, sorry. 130.1 there for Scornsey. Dace letting traffic by, I do apologise for missing that. Mojug now in the pits, as is Dace and DC. Man impossible. Bacon, I'm not sure if that is quite where you're supposed to be. I may be wrong. They may have changed the track layout at some point in the last 20 seconds. But I do find it slightly unlikely. He's going to start a new lap anyway. On board we hop with Bacon as he approaches the chicane. I'm not sure if it's called the Mistral chicane. Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. Who knows? Probably people that are actually well educated on the thing that they're supposed to be commentating over. Anyway, purple middle sector there from Bacon, or at least that's what the game claims. Into the pits though, Peel's Bacon, so he won't be setting lap time. There's Aston Martin there escaping the pits. Scornsey on an outlap. DC Manaman in the pits. Oh no, now that is unfortunate. I wasn't even on board with you. But rules are rules. That's the second time this qualifying session that I've had to hit him with that. Bonk, bonk. Yep, got to take those boards out for good measure as well, Blade. You're absolutely right. Doesn't seem particularly happy, does he? Can't blame him, really. Probably wouldn't be happy either if I was bottling my qualifying laps and found myself down in P9 when I should be higher up, but he's got another chance, I think, possibly, I don't know. Because again, this game's rather silly and we can't see how long is left in the session when we've got yellow flags. I did peep that it was about 1 minute and 10 seconds, so depends how much fuel he's got really, and if he didn't manage to invalidate the next lap around, A-Dub retiring from the session in the pits. He will not be taking any further part. Here comes Dusty Lusky. Doesn't look like he's on a hot lap though, because he isn't expending any ERS. Woohoo! It's a little bit wriggly. Der Kraut Salat crossing the line. I think he may have gotten there in time. Looks like he did. Calirot also on a hot lap as well. Where is No Jug firstly? Coming through the chicane. Scornsy is going to complete his lap before No Jug completes his. Scornsy needing to find a couple tenths of a second, missing the apex there. Not great by him. And here is the run up to the line. The DRS wide open for Scornsy. He crosses the line. Can he improve? He cannot improve. Where is Eldache? He has invalidated. Where is DC Manaman? He is further back than No Jug. Let's watch No Jug then as he approaches at the end of the lap, nearing the conclusion of 1.5 minutes of flat out pushing as Lusky retires from the session. He will not be setting any more laps. DRS wide open. Full push mode up to the line and into the wall. Not improving though, I don't think there. And NFS Light Work is coming through the final corner. A very quick driver on his day as well. Matt Lejeune up to P7. That's Jin to win it. Across the line comes NFS Light Work. Elevates himself up to P3, but it's not enough to challenge the top spot. DC Manaman crossing the line. Gets himself up to P5. A good qualifying session there from him. Shreya Coleslaw crosses the line as well. Stays P13, and that is going to conclude the runs. As we see a little bit of racing here from Alfa Romeo AI. So there we are, confirmation of the final results from qualifying. NLR No Jug taking a very expected and likely pole position, with Scornsy just behind him. Only just under 2 tenths of a second there though to P2, so Scornsy could definitely challenge in this race. Light Work behind them in P3. Lanzi P4, good qualifying session from him, with DC Manaman and Dace P5 and P6 respectively. Calirot in P7 with Matt Lejeune on his debut in P8. Lusky P9 as A-Dub rounds off the top 10. Then Speedrun, Shelley, Electric Blade, Shreya, Slayerized, Hightower, Knuckles, Osmanian Devil, Beamer Blunt and Bacon. Rap God, baby. T-Posing Mechanics, the return. Can you guys believe this? You know what, I don't even know if I can trust this screenshot because it just seems so ludicrous to me. New My Team racing icons being added for my team. We've got Nigel Mansell, which seems like a reasonable one. I'd definitely call Nigel Mansell an icon. Jamie Chadwick, an icon, okay. But now this one. Dare I say the name? Dare I even mutter the words of the one who may not be named? It's not Voldemort, it's someone much, much worse. It's Pastor Maldonado. In the F1 2022 game, we will have Pastor Maldonado. Supposedly, allegedly. Anyway, you know the drill, guys. We get to sit here, watch some NPCs clapping above the garages. Of course, they're not applauding the cars, they're applauding the T-pose and mechanics holding a perfect pose, as if they were at the conclusion of their routines on Strictly Come Dancing. Absolutely fantastic. 10s across the board. Just discussing here, the long straight, incredibly long straight here in France. We do have the sort of double chicane part way through. What if we just didn't bother? We did. Bacon is a pioneer. In qualifying, he was testing out the new track layout possibilities for the FIA. Inside info there, that's the scoop. Why don't we just get rid of that chicane, have one incredibly long straight, and just do away with the DRS? I'm here for it. Why not? That would be a right laugh. Hell, extend the track then at the end further into the runoff and make it even longer of a straight, and then have it bank back on itself to rejoin the original track but at a much tighter angle, thus creating a hairpin. Oh, it would be chaos. Absolutely chaotic. I would love every second of it. So anyway, one red light out and away we go for the formation line. Let's have a look at the tyres. I'm hoping we will soon be enlightened. Oh my goodness me. You know what? I do this every week and I can never find the thing that I actually want to find. It's absolutely shocking. Anyway, light work on the medium tyres in amongst the top three. No Jug and Scunzi both on the hards. Most of the field on the hards, including Lanzi and DC Manaman. Dace opting for the mediums as well, trying the contra strategy, unlike Calibob and Jin that are starting on the hards. Lusky and Adub, as well as Osmanian Devil, all on the mediums as well, with everybody else on, well, everybody else that I've not yet mentioned, starting on the hards. This should be an interesting one. Hopefully they can make that work and give us some real excitement. Light work though, you've got to be thinking, if he's going to start on those mediums, he needs to be trying to get past Scornsy and No Jug in the first few laps, because if you're going to be pitting before those guys and you've not got a good gap, you're going to be coming out then on the hards they're going to be coming out on the mediums a little later in the race. They're going to be a lot faster. Shelley getting disqualified. Shock horror. No Jug edging towards his spot on the grid and then goes over it. NLR, no vision. So Scornsy is in a prime position here, almost partly alongside already, as it would seem that he has nailed his starting spot. Do not know what on earth is even going on here. And it's lights out and away we go. What the hell happened with the game there? Scornsy takes the lead off the start. Mojug relegated down to P2. Light work under pressure. Dace has already made up a few positions. He goes a little bit deep. He might get pinched to the inside there, but manages to survive it. And he's going to be fighting this one back now down the inside. We've got a spin there at the back. That's Tasmanian Devil on the mediums. So that's he's going to have to use it to try and catch back up to the hard tyre runners. Down the inside goes Dace. These two still fighting along. And it looks like Lightwork has just been forced out there, and that actually could put Lanzi onto the back of him. Scornsy with a decent enough lead, heading down the Mistral straight to possibly avoid too much pressure from Nojug, though not enough pressure that he doesn't want to break the toe. And down to the chicane we go. Lanzi going down the inside, sending Lightwork a little bit deep. Lanzi still there though. Lightwork with a better exit, as does Lusky, also gets the better exit. Moves to the inside to try and make a move on Lanzi, who then goes to the outside. A possibility of the cars going 3 wide here, and they do a double bit of contact there for Lightwork, who gets spun out by that. That's very unfortunate for him. 3 into 1, and they couldn't make it go. Lusky up to P4 already. They're very impressive by him, but not as impressive as this man here, Dace, all the way up to P3 off of the start on those medium tyres. Nojug already though all over the back of Scornsy after he managed to jump him into turn 1. Aided on the back of Lanzi as well. Quite a few gaps being pretty small so far. The Haas drivers swapping themselves around there as well, as Shelley decides to come into the pits, possibly with some damage. But let's jump back over to Adel in P6 because he's pretty close to the back of Lanzi. Impossible Bacon really close to the back of Electric Blade as well. Can traction control go Burr out of this corner for Adel and propel him onto the back of Lanzi? It looks like Lanzi's just got a little bit too much of a lead. He's got too good of an exit out of that corner. And there is that move. Electric Blade being relegated down to P11 as Impossible Bacon makes his way past and then swerves back across to cut off the line. Electric Blade nearly going into the back of Bacon there though, as he misjudges how Bacon was going to take that corner, and Bacon manages to slither away a little there without even needing to use the ERS. Hightower has been re-overtaken by Lightwork after his previous spin. Hightower perhaps trying to fight this one around the outside, though I don't think he's going to have the grip to make that work, and he does have to settle in behind Lightwork there for P13 and P14 respectively. A-Dub still all over the back of Lanzi as well. Scornsy setting the fastest lap of the race so far, but Dusty immediately pips into it. Dusty wanting to keep himself close to Dace and try and continue to gain points on that particular rival in the Constructors' Championship, in the Drivers' Championship, sorry. In the Constructors as well, I suppose, but that's not the point I was trying to make. Matt Legin, what's going on down there? The Alpha Tower driver in P16. Looking to make a move here on MMR Beamer Blunt. Does look like Jin is a little bit quicker. Uses the DRS as well. The ERS, sorry, exiting this corner. He will have the DRS as well, I would imagine. He does, but Beamer Blunt also has it to defend from him. He has it from his teammate ahead of him, which is Hightower, and Jin has to settle back in behind, but he may be able to get his rival here. He has to lift off a little bit though. He's compromised his exit there by getting a little bit too close to the back of Beamer Bunt, and he's going to scurry away down the straight, and the Haas driver will live to fight another day. Bacon all over the back of Slayer Eyes now as well. He's looking to make up even more positions than he already has. No Jug still behind Scornsy. I'm just going to adjust something for a second because I feel like this might be a little bit too loud. Let's just turn that down a sec. And our No Jug sets the fastest lap of the race so far. Now we're 1:34.3, and this time Lusky isn't there to steal it away from him immediately. A-Dub though still all over the back of Lanzi. He does have that tyre advantage being on the mediums with Lanzi on the hards, so he's going to be trying to make the best use of that as he can. Light work also all over the back of Knuckles. We'll go to that fight shortly if this one doesn't pan out, as Lejin takes that position there from Beamer Bunt. A-Dub with the DRS now and the slipstream, looking to gain on Lanzi. Lifts off though, he doesn't want the position just yet. But Bacon does. Down the inside on Slayer Eyes, light work. Attacking Knuckles as well behind them. Light work has the position, and Bacon looked like he span it there. Manages to sort of recover. Had to be done. Electric Blade all over the back of Slayer Eyes as well for P9. He wants to make that move ASAP Rocky. Was that a little lift off there from Electric, or was that a strange thing with the audio? I'd imagine it's most likely to be the latter, as he does want to make up this position here on Slayer Eyes, though perhaps he doesn't want to overtake him before this next DRS zone, as he may fear that he will be immediately re-overtaken, as is the power of the DRS down the Mistral straight. A spin there for what looks to be Beamer Blunt. He's going to lose out a few positions there. Coleslaw says thank you very much and makes his way past the Haas man. A better line there from Electric Blade in terms of maximising the exit, but he lost so much time mid corner that Slayer Eyes is far ahead of him anyway. He's got the DRS and he's got the ERS, and he may make a lunge here around the outside. He wants to go to the inside. Is Slayer trying to defend? Doesn't look like there's much Slayer can do though. He's going to try and hang it around the outside here, may get forced onto the curb and get a slightly worse exit, and that is exactly what's just happened. Let's watch on board from Lightwork though, as Slayer Eyes tucks back into the slipstream, maybe looking to make a move into the next corner, but I don't think he can challenge. He's going to be too far behind. A-Dub still not past Lanzi. Just chilling in behind. Matt Lejin making his way past Hightower. Impossible Bacon on the back of Knuckles now. Lightwork still pretty close to the back of Slayer Eyes, but Slayer does have the DRS from Electric Blade to be able to ward off any threat, but no, the only threat is himself. Off he goes. Now A-Dub finally closer to Lanzi, but look how close No Jug is to Scornsy. This is more pertinent to the outcome of this race, so we'll follow on board with this. Though I don't think No Jug is going to be able to make a move on Scornsy this lap. He's let the opportunity pass him as Beamer Blunt comes into the pits, and finally Shelley isn't running last anymore. No Jug does seem to be the quicker of the two drivers, but right now it just isn't enough to make up for the poor grid position start, and Yeah, he has to settle in behind Scornsey for now. Light work all over the back of Electric Blade as well, and a little bit further behind them, Knuckles is under a lot of pressure from Impossible Bacon. Bacon could look to make the move here. It looks like he's going to get a better exit than Knuckles. He took a better line through the corner. Uses the DRS, and oh my goodness me, that's no job. I need to stop putting my controller down like that. And No Jug is relegated all the way down to P10 with Knuckles just behind him and Impossible Bacon just behind him as well. So No Jug could find himself in trouble here if he can't get a good exit, which he may struggle to do because of the high tyre temperatures that are associated with spinning the car, as Knuckles almost loses it himself there. Loses the position to Bacon before the straight even begins. And Bacon has the DRS as well to ward off any threat. Electric Blade now overtaken by Lightwork. And suddenly the chances of a Scornsey victory have shot up. Shot absolutely through the ceiling. And I don't think there's much cause for concern here for the bigger picture for No Jug either, because he does have such a strong lead. He'll still get some good points here, I would imagine, as long as he doesn't make any more mistakes. At least not any mistakes on that scale. Yeah, NLR No Bottle has lost it coming out of what looked to be turn 2. And Scornsey will be loving life now. Bacon just staying in the DRS window of his teammate after that mistake. Just letting No Jug pull him along, which is it's going to be very beneficial to Bacon, I'd imagine, with No Jug's pace. Yeah, not the position that No Jug before the race would have wanted to have found himself up in. Kind of pretty close to his teammate, DC Manaman. Doesn't look like he will be close enough to make any sort of move though. Slayerized and Hightower battling side by side as well. Looks like Slayerized has won out though in that particular battle, and I don't think Hightower has the exit or the ERS to really come back at Slayerized, and both of them are using their ERS unnecessarily there. But anyhow, we hop back up to Lanzi and A-Dub's fight, which now includes Dusty. Surprise edition. Welcome to the crew. And these two drivers currently fighting over the last of the podium spots, but they've got both of the Aston Martins just behind them as well that they need to worry about. Who are also really in with a chance of grabbing that P3 as well. You got to think DC Manaman, Calibob, Lanzi are probably in a better position now though than Lusky and Adab are on those medium tyres that are going to start to degrade and die off pretty soon, I'd imagine, at least in comparison to the hard tyres. And yeah, furthermore, they're also going to be able to pit onto the medium tyres or the current hard tyre runners, so that's another advantage that swings their way. But in order for Calirob to overtake Lusky, he'll need to overtake his teammate first, and that's what he is currently working on. He got pretty close in that braking zone, and he might get a little bit closer heading into the fast right-hander here, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. At least not just yet. Lanzi also on the back of Lusky, who is also going to be just far enough ahead, I think, to survive for the time being, but we'll just hop on board with AW and make sure that that is the case. Lanzi still all over the back of Lusky, so those medium tyres, it seems, at least on Lusky's car, are starting to feel the effects of the tyre wear, and I think Lanzi should be able to make it past this lap. So here we go, the great big DRS zone. Lanzy's going to open that rear wing up, but look how far ahead Lusky is. You just can't get the exit from this corner, can Lanzy, to put enough pressure on Lusky and to make the overtake. And we've got Lusky's teammate there, Osmanian Devil, find himself in a spot of bother, but he's managed to recover from it. And NLR No Jug catching up to Electric Blade. He'll be wanting to quickly make his way through the traffic ahead. We've got a spin there at the chicane, it's Hightower. And it does look like Lanzy can get so close through this third sector, but he just can't quite nail the first sector enough to be in with a chance of overtaking Lusky heading down the straight. Something he will have to rectify, and this is about how close they were at the start of the previous lap, where I predicted that Lanzy would be able to make the move. And we'll have to watch on board and see as we see Lightwork peeling into the pits, the first of the medium runners to do so. So we may see these that trigger some pit stops with the other medium guys of A-Dub, Lusky and Dace, especially up at the front. To come in for hard tyres, and it doesn't look like Lanzy just takes quite as good of a line through the first sector. Of course, dirty air is also an issue through here. It can be a struggle to really get the exit that your opponent ahead gets, as their downforce isn't limited and yours is. The DRS wide open for Lanzy. Will we see a repeat? He closes the DRS actually, so he actually isn't looking at making a move right now. Tell you who is though, Callywab is. And it hasn't worked. Spoiler alert, guys. That's not the way Callywab wanted to be facing. May even put him under pressure from NLR No Jug, who had a spin himself, though admittedly I think No Jugs was much more likely to be self-imposed there than Callywab's. It didn't look like that was necessarily Callywab's fault there that he got spun around there. We'd need to see the POVs to know for sure, but here goes No Jug down the inside. Callywab tries to hold it out around the outside, which does turn to the inside, and No Jug has to settle in behind for now. He's going to find himself under pressure from Electric Blade as well if he's not careful. Dusty does pit and he does speed. That's a penalty for Lusky. That could be massive, and I've been talking about in qualifying about how Lusky has done a very good job of not doing things like that, but not this time. Apparently, No Jug looks to make another move. Starts on the outside, but cuts into the inside on the switchback, trying to get the best exit he can do, but it's not going to be good enough. And Electric Blade is right behind No Jug as well. And Electric Blade, if he can get a good exit, can possibly get some double slipstream down the straight and look to make a move on both of them. Lusky's teammate there, I think that is, at Span, that's Osmanian Devil again, who's having a tricky race. He's had a couple of difficult races since he started racing here, but he'll just be focused on trying to improve over the course of this season. Not much pressure on him to do so. With him joining late, and this might be the end here for Callywab's hopes of retaining that P5, at least the P4, sorry, at least for the time being. Though he could come back at No Jug here if he wishes, and he does wish, because he's in the slipstream, he's using the ERS, and he's gonna go to the outside. No Jug has a lot on the line. Callywab not so much, though he just doesn't have the pace to keep that, and that's Matt Legin, who has retired actually on the racetrack. I'm not sure exactly what's happened there, or how he's managed to actually DNF himself there. And I'm not sure if his car will still be there by the time Shelley the Turtle makes his way down the straight, as is the very familiar nature of Shelley being rather far behind. And we get away without a safety car there. A-Dub all over the back of Lusky, and we've got, I think that's Impossible Bacon into the pits. Yeah, it is. No Jug soon getting a little bit of distance between himself and Calirob, who wants to just follow along in the DRS window. Calirob with some decent pace as well. Perhaps not quite at the level of No Jug, but decent enough. Matt Legin leaving the session after his retirement. It'll be very interesting to find out how that's actually happened. And oh, Calirob nearly completely loses it. Good thing though for Calirob here in this situation, he's going to have the DRS. He can come straight back at Electric Blade now down the straight, and it looks like he's going to. DRS wide open, not much the AlphaTauri can do to defend from that one. And yeah, Calirob's lost himself a lot of time in that kerfuffle. He's lost the DRS as well to No Jug, but at least he manages to not lose a position. Talking about losing a position, Lusky is under a lot of pressure here from A-Dub as Shelley picks up a 3-second time penalty, but most importantly Lusky is just behind Shreya Coleslaw and thus will have the DRS to use in defence. Of course, many double picking up the 3-second time penalty as well. Electric Blade all over the back of Calirob as they got to the end of that straight. Of course, they were so close together going into the chicane that it was inevitable that Electric Blade would pick up the slipstream. Uses the curb to rotate the car, but rotates it a little bit too much and has to correct slightly there. DC Manaman, he is into the pits. And Scornsey not thinking of pitting just yet as we get over the halfway point of this Grand Prix. He's 15 seconds clear of his rival No Jug in this race. And is looking pretty comfortable right now. Just keeping up a good pace, not making mistakes, that's all he needs to do here. DC Manaman, we talked about the pit lane. Avoided action there from Shreya Coleslaw, who dives to the inside to make the move. Oh no, and that's a spin there for DC Manaman. It seems like every time I go to watch someone, we see a spin. Spinella. And down the straight goes a whole gaggle of cars. There's 4 of them here coming down the straight as through the last corner they go. I've been wanting to use that for a little bit. Knuckles losing the position there as well, I think, as Lusky. I'm not too sure. Bacon coming up behind them on fresh mediums as well, so he's going to be flying. And Scornsey is into the pits. He's pulled the trigger to get off of those hard tyres. Will No Jug do the same, or will he stay out? He does stay out for the time being. Scornsey will just be hoping that there is not a safety car within the next couple of laps before No Jug pits, because that would suddenly completely reignite this race. Hell, if Scornsey's got good pace in those mediums, which I'd imagine he will do, it's only 6 seconds ahead to No Jug. He might actually be able to attack him if No Jug really tries to stretch this stint out. Calirob into the pits as well onto some nice fresh mediums that are going to feel like they have all the grip in the world after those hard tyres. Impossible Bacon setting a 1:33.9 to claim the fastest lap of the race so far. DC Manaman and Hightower fighting away as DC Manaman tries to recover from that earlier mistake. And I think I will predict that Scornsey might be taking the fastest lap on the next lap of this race. Lap 16 may well and truly belong to Scornsey. No Jug staying out as well. Tell you someone who isn't staying out, it's Lanzi, he's in, as is Electric Blade. So we actually don't need to go to the leader timings to track the gap between Scornsey and No Jug. We should just be able to use the interval. So it's 5.4 seconds at the start of this lap between No Jug and Scornsey. though I would expect No Jug to begin hemorrhaging time to Scornsy, who is less than a sector away, can see his foe ahead of him. Of course, he is still yet to pit, so this is well and truly P1 for Scornsy, who has set the fastest first sector of the race so far. Another purple sector from Scornsy as well. Those medium tyres with so much grip, especially fresh out of the pits. He's only got to take them another 11 laps, so they're definitely going to be feeling it at the end of this race, but they should be fine. Osmanian Devil lifting off there, I think. Or has he spun maybe? Oh, he's gone into the wall, has Osmanian Devil. And No Jug does finally decide that it's time for him to come into the pits. Trying to stay long in hopes of a safety car has unfortunately for him not paid off. And yep, there is the fastest lap of the race so far from Scorns here, 1:32.895. Dace should find himself comfortably ahead of No Jug for the time being, though No Jug is going to be chasing down. And No Jug, was that? No, that was not a penalty, that was just the F1 game being terrible. Lanzi comes out ahead of No Jug as well, but I think he's going to be close enough to him to be really feeling the pressure. Can No Jug get out ahead of these cars? He can. A-Dub not quite able to challenge the Alfa Romeo man into turn 1. Those hard tyres will still be a little cold for the next couple of corners, but I think he should survive all the time. Well, not even for the time being, he should survive full stop and then pull away from A-Dub. Will he be able to get the DRS though from Lightwork, who is extending the gap currently because of the tyre temperature difference? It doesn't look like he will have the DRS now, and A-Dub is going to be burning some DRS here. Dace picking up a 3-second time penalty because of course he is. A-Dub with the DRS, he's going to look to the outside to perhaps make a move here, and maybe he has some complaints there for No Jug, possibly moving under braking, making 2 defensive moves there on the straight, it would seem. Bacon all over the back of Lusky as well. And yellow flags there for Hightower, who's had a bit of a nightmare. Scornsy driving off into the sunset. And I honestly, I can't remember how many times Dace has gotten track limit penalties so far this season. It's been one of a few things that he's been doing on a regular basis that has been really hurting his chances in the championship. And No Jug maybe looked to making a move on Lightwork there, but the outside didn't magically open itself up by a defensive move to the inside, and so he has to settle in behind. My audio cutting out for no apparent reason, and then my controller doing the same. I did say last weekend I was going to get a new USB, and then I ended the broadcast and immediately forgot. Bacon all over the back of Electric Blade. Let's go back to No Jug, because he wants to make the move here. Beamer Blunt picking up a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings on the track limit. As No Jug does manage to make that move on Lightwork, he goes a little bit deep into the next corner, but he's got more than enough grip to make up for it against the Williams driver behind him, who actually is going to be coming back at him here. Looks like everybody wants to have a fight with No Jug today. Oh my goodness me. Lightwork said no track for you, mister. Calibob all over the back of Electric Blade as well. No Jug picking up a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place. I feel like that will get removed post-race. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. It looked there to me. I think what's probably happened there is Lightwork did momentarily get ahead of him when he went down the inside and forced No Jug off. No Jug then got back ahead of Lightwork whilst off track and then re-entered the track ahead, thus technically overtaking whilst he was off track. That being said, I don't think there's anything that No Jug's really done wrong, as he was absolutely forced out there by Lightwork. I'm sure at the time he made the conscious decision to not give that position back, knowing that that penalty was coming, because he probably imagined that the stewards would remove it, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't go ahead and remove that. The DC Manaman right up behind Impossible Bacon. Calibob all over the back of Electric Blade. A couple close fights here, though it's calmed down a little bit from the absolute carnage it has been so far, and carnage in a nice way, if that's possible. I suppose chaos is more the correct term. Chaos, chaos, midnight chaos, eternity chaos, dawn chaos, day chaos, night chaos, eternity chaos, chaos. DC Manaman taking the position there from Bacon as if he was ordering from a kiosk. Kiosk chaos in Sector 1. That was very much forced. That's what she said. Calibob in P9 approaching the back of Electric Blade, or at least he would like to. He's going to have the DRS here down the straight to help him out a little bit. Yep, okay, cool, didn't get debated by the game, that's a first. A-Dub just out of said range to NFS Lightwork. Lusky with that 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's in P7 currently, though he does stand to lose positions if the race finishes like this. So a very costly penalty there for the Canadian. Slow Rise makes up the position there on a high tower. Only 6 laps now remain. DC Manaman under pressure, increasing pressure from Impossible Bacon, who has actually got some good pace so far today, it would seem, though he is only down in P11. He's going to be looking at making a move on DC Manaman shortly. And there's a spin there, as our commentators curse Bacon. That being said, a commentator's curse is not a reason for me to have enough sympathy to avoid using the banana peel sound effect of doom. 5/10 is the gap between Lusky and Electric Blade as we approach the chicane. Cars skipping over the little curb there, not caring too much about that bump. Lusky looking to keep the pressure up on A-Dub through the third sector. He will have Electric Blade just behind him on the mediums, and it does seem unlikely to me that Lusky's going to be able to finish ahead of Electric Blade. You're going to think that Electric Blade, even if he can't get past Dusty, is going to inherit that position on time penalties. And talking about time penalties, Lansley wants to remind us that he exists. So yeah, hoi mum. 3-second time penalty for Lanty. Let's go and take a look at the penalties actually, because they are starting to add up and factor into this race. So Lanty had a big buffer there to No Jug in terms of penalties before he picked up that 3 seconds. So now he's made it a little bit sketch on himself. Yeah, really he just needed to not get a penalty. If he didn't get a penalty, there's no way No Jug was going to pass him and then gain 5 seconds. But yeah, now Lanty does need to keep the pace up, and A-Dub trying to keep the pace up here against Light Work, and he does so. Light Work losing that position there, we might look to come back at A-Dub. Down the straight, he's deploying the ERS, and A-Dub is very low on the ERS himself. To the outside goes Light Work. At least when Light Work's on the outside he can't force anyone off. But he also can't hang it around the outside. Oh, he can force someone off, he just does it like that instead. Off they both go. At least A-Dub stays ahead of Light Work anyway for the time being. I'm not sure if Light Work picked up any damage there. It looked like they got away with it. Possibly some rear diffuser damage to A-Dub, not entirely sure. Electric Blade all over the back of Calirod, who in turn is all over the back of Lusky, as we have a fatal 3-way over P5. You can really see how much the drivers go to the left hand side there, our left hand side, their right hand side, to really open up that corner. You guys know what's coming just as well as I do. There we go. Oh, for God's sake. I've been avoiding it so well. So well. We are going to have to get this sorted. I do apologise for not getting it sorted last time, honestly. But it will be sorted for the next time. Calirod goes to the outside of Dusty Lusky, who is unable to fight that one back down the inside, especially with the penalties he has. It's probably not worth trying to fight it back anyway. Hightower all on his lonesome, at least for the time being, but Shelley is looking to gain on him, though he does have that penalty, so perhaps not gaining him and take a position. If we go and have a look at our penalties, 3, 3 and 5 for the top 4. So I actually don't think that penalties will really factor much into this one. Perhaps they will between Lanty and No Jug. Actually, No Jug has gotten the DRS. Could still be close for Lanty. If No Jug manages to finish on the freaking podium anyway, after that, I mean, honestly, what are we doing here? Electric Blade and Lusky trying to keep the pressure up on the different drivers in front of them respectively. So here's NLR No Jug, hoping he's got NLR No Drag down the straight. He's in the slipstream. He's got the DRS. Lanty holding his nerve and not deploying. They gain closer and closer to the braking zone as No Jug gains closer and closer on Lanty and makes that move. Lanty might look to get a switch back here, though I'm not sure he's going to be able to. He's going to be in the slipstream. But yeah, the exit's just too good there from No Jug, who now has 3 laps to gain 2 seconds on Lanty. It's certainly not impossible with the pace he has, though it is difficult because Lanty is no slouch himself. Through the final corner go these 3 drivers as they start onto the straight. DC Man lurking in the background as well. He also has the DRS, so he is going to be a threat and a player in this little grouping. We've got yellow flags for what looks to be, is that Hightower? No, it was Beamer Blunt, and Slayerized gets past Bacon, who has pitted. Sure, Coleslaw gets past as well, and so does Knuckles. See, you can tell that we've got another yellow flag for one of the Haas cars that I've just been yellow flag creating machines out here today. Electric Blade picking up 3 seconds of time penalties to the delight, I'm sure, of Dusty, but it's still not enough. Yeah, you can tell Knuckles is a great arsonist because every time you see him on track, he's never on fire. So he really practices fire safety upon himself, just not upon the innocent citizens of Canada. Yellow flags again. This time it's for a Red Bull. It's Lanzi who's made a mistake and has probably lost the podium from that mistake as well and gifted it over to NLR No Jug. Electric Blade all over the back of Dusty Lusky as well as they approach the corner. The first corner, to be precise, 2 laps remaining now, including the one that we are currently on, so we are nearing to the conclusion of this race. But A-Dub and Lightwork are quick to remind us that the battle for P9 is far from over. Though it may be over in the steward's room after this race, as Lightwork will probably have a little bit of explaining to do from what I've seen, and I'm not making a judgment. It's perfectly possible that I just saw saw angles that were misleading. This is why you should never make a judgment just based on the broadcast. You've got to see the POVs of all the drivers involved. Electric Blade all over the back of Dusty. So yeah, I'm not saying Lightwork is guilty, but I'm also not saying that Lightwork isn't a bastard. We just don't know yet. Very joking. Electric Blade all over the back of Dusty Lusky. I feel like I've said that quite a few times today. Perhaps he is just biding his time, Electric Blade. He probably knows that pragmatically, if he got Dusty, it wouldn't make a difference. He's going to gain that position anyway. If he managed to overtake Calibob, it wouldn't make a difference because his penalty would relegate him behind him anyway. And if he finishes ahead of DC Manaman, it doesn't make a difference because he's not going to pull 3 seconds anyway. So really, he could just pause his game and go have a cup of tea if he wanted to. That's what I'd do. I am British though, so I suppose that does play a part. A-Dub running a little bit wide there as well, but manages to keep it under control and doesn't pick up a warning either. Or at least doesn't pick up a penalty. Talking about penalties, Shelly the Turtle has given up on life. He doesn't seem too interested, but let's watch on. Fucking controller. Pardon my language, but it's a fucking knobhead. Let's just watch along with Shelly driving. I can go all day. Across the line, Scornsy wins the Grand Prix. Dace quite far behind him. He's about to cross the line, and I'm not exactly sure what the penalty difference is here between Dace and No Jug. No Jug does get hit with that 5-second time penalty. Lanzi crosses the line. His penalty costing him at P3. Calibob is next, followed by an absolute gaggle of cars of DC Manaman and his teammate who gets promoted up to P6. A really strong showing there from Aston Martin team. Electric Blade P7 and Lusky P8 in a pretty disappointing race for him. Lightwork managing to finish only 0.05 behind A-Dub, and his AI overtakes him into the following corner. Slayer Eyes crosses the line to take P11 with Shreer just behind him in P12. Hightower can spin all he wants because he's the last of the cars that haven't been left. Bacon destroying some brake marker boards at a protest and has, in the process, lost the position to Hightower, who then lifts off himself. What is go... Alright. That certainly was a race. To put it succinctly, what we witnessed here today, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's disconnected, I don't care, I unplugged it myself. What we witnessed here today, ladies and gentlemen, was a race. It was a race involving cars, of which there were 19. It consisted of 18 talented drivers and Shelley the Turtle. What else can I say? It involved a track. It involved, at best, C- level commentary. I have quite the way with words. And here's the podium celebrations to put us out of our misery of having to listen to me talking to a dark screen. P1 is Scornsey, P2 is Dace. Sorry, I forgot who it was for a second, I'm not used to seeing him up there on the podium. P3, No Jug with that recovery drive after he essentially gifted the win to Scornsey with that spin. And yeah, the 3-second time penalty for Dace not actually costing him in the end. And this is the part where we would usually do interviews. It's pretty late, so I think we're going to end it off. But we'll be back with interviews next week, and we will be also back with a USB cable that functions correctly. I know, don't all gasp at once. But yeah, no, that's about it. I think we ended off here, guys. I've got to thank you all for watching. It's been a fun race as always. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it too. And I'm going to go and collapse and sleep for the next 12 hours.